When your dog wags their tail, do you actually know what that means? Most people assume it's a sign of happiness, a friendly greeting, a simple "I am excited to see you." But behind that wagging tail, there's something deeper that most dog owners completely miss. It's one of the most instinctive and emotionally complex signals your dog can give. And if you misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might confuse your dog, or worse, miss a warning sign right in front of you. Let's start with what this behavior really means. 1. The biggest misunderstanding. Tail wagging equals happy dog. You walk into the room, your dog sees you, and their tail starts wagging, so you smile. You think they're happy. That's what everyone believes, but here's what's actually happening. A wagging tail doesn't mean happiness. It means emotional arousal. That's it. It's your dog saying, I feel something strongly right now. That emotion could be excitement, but it could also be anxiety, tension, or even conflict. Think about that for a second. Your dog isn't saying, I am happy. They're saying, I am activated. And this is where most owners get it wrong, because they stop at the tail. They don't look at the rest of the body. In a pack environment, dogs don't rely on a single signal. They read the whole picture: ears, posture, eyes, movement. So when your dog wags their tail, they're not giving you a simple answer. They're giving you a question. Are you paying attention? 2. The science of the wag. What research actually shows? Here's what most people don't realize. Scientists have studied tail wagging in detail, and the results are surprising. A 2013 study from the University of Trento found that dogs wag their tails differently depending on their emotional state. When dogs feel positive emotions, their tail tends to wag more to the right. When they feel negative or uncertain emotions, it shifts more to the left. But what matters is this: your dog isn't just wagging randomly. They're expressing emotional direction. And there's more. Canine cognition research shows that other dogs can read these subtle differences instantly. They respond differently depending on how another dog's tail moves. But you probably just see wagging. Think about that for a second. Your dog is speaking in a language far more detailed than you realize. And most humans are only hearing one word. So when your dog's tail starts wagging fast or stiff or low, they're not just being happy. They're communicating something precise. And if you miss it, you miss what your dog is actually feeling in that moment. 3. The pack signal. Why your dog uses tail movement to read you. Let's bring this closer to home. Your dog walks up to you. Their tail is wagging, but slowly. Their body is slightly tense. You reach down to pet them, and suddenly they pull back. Confusing, right? Here's what's actually happening. Dogs rely heavily on subtle signals to maintain harmony in the pack. Tail movement is part of that system. It's not just expression, it's communication. Your dog is constantly asking, is this safe? Are you calm? Can I trust this interaction? And their tail reflects that internal process. A loose, wide wag with a relaxed body, that's comfort. A fast, tight wag with stiff posture, that's tension. What makes this even more powerful is your dog uses these signals with you the same way they would with another dog, which means this: your dog sees you as part of their social system, their pack, and every tail wag is part of how they maintain that bond. Think about that for a second. They're not just reacting to you, they're reading you and responding in real time. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more dog owners who actually want to understand what their dog is really saying. 4. The instinct root. This behavior starts long before your dog meets you. Here's where it gets even deeper. Tail communication doesn't start with you. It starts at birth. Puppies begin learning body language almost immediately, long before they understand commands or names or human behavior. In early development, they rely on movement signals to survive. A mother dog reads subtle tail and body cues to assess her puppies. Littermates use tail motion to signal play submission or discomfort. There are no words, only signals. And those signals become instinct. So when your adult dog wags their tail, They're not choosing to do it the way you might think. They're following a deeply wired survival system. In the wild, misunderstanding a signal can lead to conflict or isolation. So dogs evolved to be precise. And that precision is still there, even in your living room. Think about that for a second. Your dog's tail isn't random, it's ancient. And every movement carries meaning shaped by generations of survival. 5. They don't wag the same way for everyone. Now ask yourself this. Does your dog wag the same way for strangers as they do for you? Probably not with strangers. The wag might be higher, faster, maybe even a bit stiff. With you, it's looser, softer, more relaxed. Here's what's actually happening. Tail wagging changes based on relationship. Dogs don't express emotions equally to everyone. They calibrate to a stranger. A wag might mean, I am unsure but open. To another dog, it might mean, I am assessing you. But to you, it can mean something deeper. I feel safe. Think about that for a second. Your dog is adjusting their communication based on trust. That means their tail isn't just reacting to the moment, it's reacting to you. And that makes this even more powerful because it means your dog doesn't just feel things, they feel differently depending on who they're with. And when that tail softens around you, that's not casual, that's connection. 6. The ultimate truth. Your dog's tail reveals their inner conflict. Now let's come back to something most people miss completely. Sometimes your dog wags their tail and something feels off. Maybe their body is stiff. Maybe their ears are back. Maybe their eyes look tense. But the tail is still moving. So you think, it's fine. This is where it gets dangerous. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog can feel two emotions at once: excitement and fear, curiosity and uncertainty. And when that happens, the tail keeps wagging, but the rest of the body tells the truth. I think about that for a second. Your dog might be saying, I want this, but I am not sure. That's emotional conflict. And if you ignore it, you might push them too far. This is how misunderstandings happen. This is how bites happen. Not because the dog is aggressive, but because a signal was misread. So next time your dog wags their tail, don't just look at the tail. Look at the whole story. Because that movement, it might not be comfort. It might be confusion. Number 7, when the tail stops, the signal you should never ignore. And by the way, if your dog ever suddenly stops wagging their tail in situations where they used to, don't ignore it. We need to talk about that because this might be the most important signal of all. Here is what's actually happening. A sudden change in tail behavior can mean something is wrong. It could be emotional, stress, anxiety, withdrawal, or physical, pain, injury, discomfort. Studies on domestic dogs show that behavioral changes are often the first indicator of underlying issues, and tail movement is part of that system. Think about that for a second. Your dog doesn't have words. Their behavior is their language. So when something changes, they're trying to tell you something. And this is where most owners miss it. They wait for obvious signs, but by then, it's already serious. So if your dog's tail goes quiet, pay attention, because silence can say more than movement ever could. So let's go back to the beginning. When your dog wags their tail, you thought it meant happiness, something simple, something obvious, but now you know the truth. That's not just happiness. That's emotion, complexity, communication. It's your dog telling you how they feel in real time. And that behavior, it was never small to your dog. And it shouldn't be small to you either.